With that, we bring in White House Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt. Caroline, I spoke with Jason Crow on this program last week, and it seems like every time one of these individuals is asked what this was about, they have a different sort of rotating answer. Let me just play this from this morning on Morning Joe Scarborough talking about this, and we get your thoughts on the other side.
Okay, wrong answer.
Well,
I'm sorry, with all due respect, wrong answer. He has white latitude on strikes. Ask Barack Obama and drone strikes. Ask George W. Bush and drone strikes. The commander-in-chief is given, no, there's no buts to it. The commander-in-chief is given white. No Supreme Court is going to put themselves in the Situation Room and make a decision for the commander-in-chief, Democratic or Republican.
He was responding to the soundbite from Melissa Slotkin there. What's the White House take on how this whole thing has evolved, and now this news that Mark Kelly could undergo investigation?
Well, we believe it's deeply unfortunate that these Democrat senators made this egregious and completely irresponsible statement. And let's be very clear, Martha, these Democrat senators knew exactly what they were doing. It's not a coincidence that all of them have military or national security experience in their background. They were leaning into that experience to try and give a wink and a nod to the 1.3 million active duty service members who serve in our United States Armed Forces, and essentially encourage them to defy the orders of their commander-in-chief, which is illegal, by the way. Let me be very clear. Not a single order this president or administration has given to our military has ever been illegal, nor will it ever be. This administration respects and abides by the law, and these officials know it. They are trying to sow chaos and distrust, which is a very dangerous thing to do within the military's ranks. The sanctity of our military respects and relies on law and order in the chain of command. And that's what this administration is trying to say. And that's why the Department of War opened up this investigation against Senator Mark Kelly today.
Yeah. You have to wonder at this point if they retrospectively think this was a good idea or a bad idea, because it doesn't seem to be working the way that they wanted it to. And now they're kind of stepping all over themselves, trying to answer the question of what they were talking about in the first place. But, you make a good point that it sows, they were hoping to sort of sow this distrust. Go ahead,
they can't answer the question, Martha, because there is no answer. They can't identify illegal orders because there are no illegal orders. But they were suggesting, again, to the 1.3 million active duty service members in the military today that if you think an order is illegal, you don't have to follow it. Actually, that's against the Uniform Code of Military Justice. It explicitly states, and I want to read this language precisely, that service members have a legal obligation under the U.S. UCMJ to obey lawful orders, and that orders are presumed to be lawful. You can't have a soldier out on the battlefield or conducting a classified order questioning whether that order is lawful or whether they should follow through. There must be a chain of command in our military, and Republicans and Democrats for decades, since the beginning of our country, have always respected that until now when the Democrat Party has been completely overtaken by Trump derangement syndrome, and now we have these deranged statements from sitting members of Congress.
Hey, I want to just quickly get your thought on the president's latest take on how this Ukraine deal is developing. He expressed some frustration on Truth Social about Ukraine leadership, expressing zero gratitude for our efforts, and Europe continuing to buy oil from Russia. That sounds like he is getting fed up with this process and wants them to agree to this deal. Caroline, what can you tell us?
Well, the president put that statement out over the weekend, and since then there have been very productive conversations between the president's national security team and the Ukrainian delegation. In fact, yesterday, Secretary Rubio, Special Envoy Witkoff were in Geneva, and they were able to thoroughly go through this 28-point peace plan that the United States offered with input from both the Russian side and the Ukrainian side, and they were really able to fine-tune the points. And so now there are just a couple points of disagreement that our team teams continue to work through. So the president remains hopeful and optimistic that a deal can be struck. And I think he deserves a great amount of credit for the extensive amount of time and energy he has put into solving this war. He wants to see the killing end. He wants this war to end. And his frustration grows out of the frustration of the American people. You know, President Trump stopped the funding of this war, but the United States is still sending or selling a big amount of weapons to NATO. We cannot do that forever. And the president wants this war to end. He is a peacetime president. That's what he's pursuing. And today he remains optimistic and hopeful. And I know our teams are working around the clock to try to get this deal to an end.
Yeah, obviously everybody watching every move of this and hoping that there can be a resolution to put the war to an end. Very quickly before I let you go, James Comey responding to a federal judge saying that the charges against him and against Letitia James will be dropped. Obviously, there's a government appeal process that can kick in. Let's play this and get your reaction, Karoline.
I'm grateful that the court ended the case against me, which was a prosecution based on malevolence and incompetence, and a reflection of what the Department of Justice has become under Donald Trump, which is heartbreaking.
What's White House response to that, and what can we expect will happen next, Karoline?
Well, what I will say is that everybody knows that James Comey lied to Congress. It's as clear as day. And this judge took an unprecedented action to throw these cases out to shield James Comey and Letitia James from accountability based on a technical ruling. And the administration disagrees with that technical ruling. We believe the attorney in this case, Lindsay Halligan, is not only extremely qualified for this position, but she was in fact legally appointed. And I know the Department of Justice will be appealing this in very short order. So maybe James Comey should pump the brakes on his victory lap.
All right, we'll be watching. We just showed a small piece of it. It goes on and on. Karoline, thank you very much.
Thanks,
Happy
Martha.
Thanksgiving. Good to see you.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.